There we are. We are certainly living and laughing, but we're learning a lot right now because we are with Dr. Stephen Gundry. He's the author of a new book. It's a plant. It's called The Plant Paradox. We are discussing hidden dangers of healthy foods. What world am I living in now? I'm so confused.
Wow. Our mind is blown.
I know, right? But you're a very accomplished heart surgeon. You dealt with weight issues, right?
Yep, absolutely.
And you were like, what? You did some research, and you found.
Yeah, you know, my major at Yale when I was an undergraduate was in human evolutionary biology, and that's a fancy way of saying we could manipulate an ape, change its foods, change its environment, and come up with a human. And I took that all aside and became a very famous heart surgeon, chairman of heart surgery at Loma Linda University, did all the baby heart training.
Loma Linda?
Baby, I took care of you.
Possibly.
Wow. What a good job. You did great back.
And, you know, I made a bunch of devices that are still used to keep people alive during heart surgery, but I was running 30 miles a week. I was going to the gym 1 hour a day, and I was 70 pounds overweight.
Wow.
What? Now, wait a minute.
How is that even possible?
Well, because I was eating healthy foods. And I couldn't figure out why eating all these healthy foods gave me arthritis, gave me prediabetes, gave me high cholesterol, gave me high blood pressure. I actually did baby heart transplants with a migraine headache every time.
Oh, my goodness.
That's pretty hard to do.
Okay, so you basically said, you figured out through your research and all this, that there are some foods that we all think are very healthy for us, we've been told are very healthy for us, actually are not that good for us because they contain something called lectins.
Correct.
What do lectins do to us, and what are lectins?
So plants were here first. They had it really good before animals arrived. Nobody wanted to eat them.
Right.
Now, when animals arrived, they had a problem. They couldn't run, they couldn't hide, couldn't fight. But they're chemists of incredible ability. They can turn sunlight into matter, and we haven't figured out how to do that. So what they do is use chemical warfare, and we're talking about chemical warfare today, to make their predators think twice about eating them, or their babies. And if the predator feels bad or doesn't thrive, the predator says, you know, every time I eat these plant babies, I get heartburn, and I think I'll go eat something else. The plant wins, the animal wins, everybody's happy.
Except the other plant that he wanted to eat.
Right, exactly. And that one's going to have to start developing lectins at some point as well.
That's exactly right.
That's years down the road.
It's actually chemical warfare. And we're actually not designed to eat certain plants. And some of the most amazing ones are plants that actually come from America. Because believe it or not, none of us are from America. We're from Europe, Asia, or Africa. That means none of us were exposed to an American plant until 500 years ago when Columbus started trade. The other amazing thing is that none of us, no human, ever ate a grain or a bean until 10,000 years ago. They were inedible. And so we've had basically speed dating in evolution to get used to certain plant compounds. And we're losing that. And it's stunning what plants we're losing to.
So let's go back to lectin itself. What is this? Is this like a thing that the plant...
It's a protein.
It's a protein.
It's a protein that the plant uses to, if you will, act like an incoming guided missile attack on their predator. Now, the original predator was an insect, and the idea was to paralyze an insect, and it actually hit the nerves of the insect. Now, to a plant, we're just a giant insect. And it takes longer for that to happen, but when I see my patients with neuropathy, where their fingers tingle or they can't feel their feet, and you see advertisements for this on TV all the time, it's actually caused by the lectins trying to get your attention.
Okay, so what foods then do we need to know have these lectins in them?
Well, I brought some of the common ones that people think are pretty healthy. And
I'm afraid. Is anyone else afraid?
I'm so nervous.
I'm so depressed now.
Don't be afraid. We have to understand that we can handle these guys if we know how to defuse them. It's kind of like, 24 hours.
Yeah.
You've got to give me a couple seconds here before the bomb goes off.
Get the right wire.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. So this is a time bomb.
A tomato.
A tomato. Now, tomato is an American plant. It's a nightshade family. So are potatoes, so are eggplants, and so are peppers. The Italians refused to eat tomatoes for 200 years after their native son Columbus brought them back because they knew how poisonous they were. The skin and the seeds have the lectins. So if you take the peel off and de-seed it, they're perfectly safe. In fact, my grandmother was French, and she taught my mother to always peel and de-seed tomatoes before she served them.
Well, that's a very true story. In Greece, they do that too.
Yeah.
They peel and de-seed the tomatoes.
And they taste better that way.
They do.
Oh, they're much better, much better.
I never knew why they did it, but now I know.
Now, the
Let's
other
go
thing
through
you
some-
can do
okay.
is you can pressure cook any of these things. Now, how about brown bread? It turns out that gluten is a lectin. But gluten is actually a very minor lectin. In fact, there are far more important lectins in the hull of the grain. Now, for centuries, we've been throwing the hull away. We've been eating white bread, and we've been eating white baguettes, and we've been eating white pasta, because we've been throwing the lectins away. But now, with whole grain goodness, we've been trying to be convinced that this is good for us.
Yeah.
And much of our health problems started with the advent of whole grain goodness.
I heard that and I never believed
It's
it.
absolutely
Somebody's
true.
like, you know, that's
It's
not good. I go,
absolutely
that's
true.
not what I heard.
Believe it or not, bread was chosen as our poison of choice because it promotes weight gain. And as you'll find in the plant paradox, things way back when that promoted weight gain was a great idea because there wasn't much to eat.
Right, exactly. You had to store the food.
The other thing that promotes weight gain is beans. Beans are so toxic that the CDC, the Center for Disease Control, says 20 to 30% of all food poisoning in the United States is caused by the lectins in undercooked beans. Absolutely.
What,
5 raw kidney beans will kill a human being in
5 raw
minutes.
kidney
5.
beans. Well,
Five.
you know what? Whatever you do at home, do not eat
don't
raw
do
kidney
that.
beans.
Yeah.
Listen, this is
This has
such
been
an
done.
interesting topic, and this is so controversial. I know people at home right now are saying, I cannot believe what I'm hearing. We're going to come back, and we're going to continue this conversation.
Put it in the pantry yet. Wait
Do
till
not eat the kidney beans raw, whatever you do.
Oh my God, I never.
Welcome back, everybody. We are talking with Dr. Stephen Gundry. He's the author of this amazing book, The Plant Paradox. I'm going to go home and board up the pantry.
Right,
No
throw
one's allowed
everything
in there
out.
until I sort this whole thing out, because the next thing on your list of knots are cashews.
Yeah.
We've always been told
I
cashews
love
are super healthy, even healthier
So
than
do I.
peanuts.
Cashews are not a nut.
Oh.
Cashews and peanuts are actually beans. They're the legume family, and they're from America. Cashews are one of the most inflammatory foods that have ever been discovered. The Amazonian Indians always take the cashew off the fruit and throw it away because they know how dangerous it is. The dermatologic literature is full of stories of skin rashes and breakouts and lupus from eating cashews. Believe it or not, peanuts have been shown to cause colon cancer. Yeah, and if you want to cause
That would mean peanut butter then as well.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think-
If you want to cause heart disease, peanuts and a lectin in brown bread called wheat germ agglutinin are the 2 best ways to cause atherosclerosis, heart disease. 2 best ways.
Okay,
Wow.
let me ask
so
you
no
something
more
then.
peanut butter
Oh, no.
and
Take it away
tomato
from the kids.
All right, look.
on brown bread.
Peanut butter and tomato sandwiches.
brown bread.
Oh,
That's
honey,
the
if that's
bad
what you're eating.
combination.
And don't put
But
beans on them, whatever you
peel
do.
the tomatoes. But you can use walnuts, you can use macadamia nuts.
Almonds?
Almonds, if you peel them. The skin actually has a lectin.
Okay.
So blanched almonds, or macaroni almonds, fantastic.
Those are beautiful.
Okay.
Explain to me then. So you did all this research. You were 70 pounds heavier. You were going to the gym. You were hiking. You were running. Nothing was working for you. What did you change? What did you stop eating, and what did you start eating?
Well, I met a guy who I call Big Ed in my first book, who reversed his inoperable coronary artery disease with changing his diet and taking a bunch of supplements from the health food store. And he started to explain this diet to me. And I said, wait a minute. This is my research that I did at Yale. So I called my folks who live in San Diego and say, hey, do you still have my big old research project? And they say, oh, yeah, it's here in the shrine. And I said, send it up to me. So I said, oh, my gosh, this is what I know, but I've never done. So I started eating how we were designed to eat.
Like what?
Basically, we're designed to eat leaves, nuts, and a lot of oil from olives, from avocados, from coconuts. And we're designed to eat what are called polyphenols. Polyphenols are good plant compounds that actually de-age us. My research has shown that it actually makes, de-age.
We
I
all
like
look
that. Keep
forward.
talking.
We were all, do you see us all reading?
There's chocolate and coffee
Come
right
again,
here.
doctor?
Yeah, so my research has shown that olives, coffee, dark chocolate dilates your blood vessels. It actually reverses heart disease. Believe it or not, coffee drinkers have far less Alzheimer's disease than non-coffee drinkers.
Really?
And Turkish coffee drinkers actually have the best looking arteries of any.
Fantastic. That's all we drink in Greece, Turkish coffee.
Yeah.
They call it Greek coffee, though. There's a little...
that's true.
Of course, you'd have
You
to call it
can't,
Greek.
but a person can't live on coffee, olives, dark chocolate, and almonds.
Why not?
Why not?
Leaves.
I can.
You have to have
You gotta
something
have
more
leaves.
substantial.
Well,
Are you
leaves-
eating
so-
animal protein?
So I'm kind of a veg aquarian. I eat leaves and shellfish and a few wild fish. But most of the food I eat are actually plants. But they're plants that you and I have been designed to eat for millions and millions of years. And they're basically leaves. Plants don't have a big defense system in their leaves. They'd like you to eat their leaves and leave their babies alone. So the whole book is about knowing how a plant decided to treat its predator. And if you know how the plant thinks, and I'm pretty sure I know how the plant thinks, they're amazing creatures. If an insect starts eating a leaf on one side of a tree, within 10 minutes, the other side of the tree will quadruple its production of lectins. It gets a text message from the other side, hey, bro,
So it's
got some
sending
squatters over
messages
here.
talking to each other. That's fascinating.
Wow.
That is fascinating.
That is unbelievable.
And here's my final tip. The
Yeah.
only purpose of food is to get olive oil into your mouth. The more you approach that, there's beautiful studies in Spain taking 65-year-old people, putting them on a liter of olive oil per week. A liter.
A liter?
That's 12 tablespoons a day. And comparing it to a low-fat Mediterranean diet, at the end of 6 years, the olive oil group had better memory than the low-fat diet group, but for women, they had a 67% less incidence of breast cancer than the low-fat Mediterranean diet.
And how do they do? Just consume it?
They drink it. They drink it. The only purpose of food is to get olive oil into your mouth.
Listen,
Regular olive oil.
Well, if you
Sophia
cook with
Loren
it-
bathes in it.
Yeah.
Oh,
She
yeah.
sprays it on her face.
Olive oil has some of the highest polyphenol content of any food.
Even if you cook with it?
Even if you cook
okay.
for it. That's a myth. Olive oil does
okay.
not denature
what?
with cooking.
Okay.
This all makes sense. Popeye. Spinach and olive
Bingo.
oil. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
since the beginning, if we just listened,
Yeah.
You're
it
so
was
proud of
always in the
yourself right now.
subtext of our
And look what
Just
look what happened to Wimpy.
Yeah. He was eating hamburgers all the time. Look at it.
We're coming right back.
Plants were here first, and they had it really good before animals arrived. Nobody wanted to eat them. Now the problem is, plants can't run, they can't hide, and they can't fight. But they're chemists of incredible ability.